What is up, guys? It's your boy Batman Unboxed, and welcome to the next episode of the Batchat podcast. Today, we're joined by a very special friend of mine, Mr. Luke Bugg, a.k.a. the Geek of Steel on Instagram. Now, many of you probably follow his page, and if you don't, this is a reminder to follow him on the socials. Luke, for me, has been a tremendous inspiration and has actually inspired me to do my podcast series and keep going with the content creating. So, to have Luke on board really does mean a lot. Luke, thank you so much for joining today. How are you?
I'm a bit taken back. Fantastic introduction. Thank you very much, buddy. That was very, very nice to hear. To be those words don't seem to sort of sink in, but if what I do online inspires you somehow and makes people want to also share their passions as well, that's what I love about meeting people online and in real life that we have done. And I'm looking forward to this chat, buddy. I've been enjoying your podcasting, your interviewing technique, and I'm excited to be interviewed by you now as well.
Well, it's my pleasure. And as I say, and going back to actually when I first met you, which was at the Superman Daily Planet stand, when they were
Yes.
handing out the newspapers, I was a little bit starstruck. And I looked back and I thought, bloody hell, that's Luke Bugg. How did you find that experience?
It's still, I'm still riding that high. The summer of Superman has turned into the year of Superman. But I wasn't actually going to go to London that day because I was going to London the following day as well, and it's quite a long commute for me. But I thought, nope, I've got the day off. They're doing something special in London with these Daily Planet booths. Let's go and check it out. And I'm so glad I did because I spent the whole day there pretty much at the Shard, seeing that giant Superman statue above London, seeing the Daily Planet helicopter as well, which is like a dream come true, meeting yourself, seeing Paul from DC World, seeing Superman fans from all over the country and the world talking about Superman. It was a beautiful and memorable day.
It really was. And the Q&A session to obviously top it off with James Gunn.
Yeah.
I just can't believe it. And, to have that opportunity for a small crowd to be that close and intimate with one of my heroes and somebody that's completely transforming the DCU was amazing, absolutely incredible. Obviously, you love the experience, I imagine, as well. And, to have some of the questions asked from the fans really was mesmerizing. But how did you find that experience being so close to the amazing James Gunn?
As you said, yeah, it was excuse me, in HMV in London. And this was just anybody could go. You had to get online quick and get your tickets. Paul, being the legend from DC World, said, I've got a spare ticket, Luke. Now you have to come to London. I
Yeah,
was like, yes, I will see you there.
yeah.
And it was fantastic to be in, as you said, an intimate moment, hearing this absolute creator talk about his life, his passions, how he tells his story in such a unique way. And that was just a fantastic room to be in, to be a part of that, to be able to listen. Anybody that takes their life and their passion and wants to talk about it with the fans, I've got so much respect for, because some people, they want to get in there, get the job done, go home, and that's it. And that's fine. I understand, you have to cut off work life from real life, whether you're making films or posting parcels. There's a different side to your life. But over those couple of days in London, I was lucky enough to go to three different Q&As with James Gunn, and his passion and his energy didn't diminish. His answers were all different. His love for not only Superman, but for DC Comics and making films and making fans happy was such a beautiful thing to see. And it just made that whole room so excited for that film. At that moment, we hadn't seen the movie. We didn't know what the world was going to think of the movie. So it was exciting to be a part on his media journey. The promotion for this movie was just amazing.
It really was. And some parts of your journey, which I was extremely jealous of, you also went to Canary Wharf, didn't you? And got slung shot off the roof. You managed to get the screening in early as well with
We
Superman.
did. It was yeah, I was going back from some of the footage from that the other day. There's some behind the scene footage of when we did that zip wire off the Canary Wharf, and I don't know how I managed to find the bravery for that. I think everybody else was like really excited for it. I was a
Yeah.
little bit unsure. I'm not great with heights, but to be asked to jump off a building for Superman, I'm going to do that. That's my I owe that to the big guy. And yeah, we were asked to do a zip wire off Canary Wharf in a Superman suit with a cape, and it was a surreal day. Yeah, and exciting to do it. One of those once in a lifetime opportunities that I'm all about. That is to me what the Geek of Steel is. He sort of takes over, and I become that persona, much like Clark Kent and Superman. So when that email came in saying, "Would you like to maybe do a zip wire off Canary Wharf for Superman?" The Geek of Steel said yes. Luke Bugg worried about that for the next few weeks, so it's
Yeah.
fine. But it was a magical, magical day. And to help be a part of this big machine that helps promote the film for Superman, that was a huge honor for me. That's something that I take on very seriously. And I'm very, very blessed to be able to do that. But yeah, we did the zip wire off Canary Wharf, didn't swear, managed to promote the film and say a little speech as I was flying across the
Yeah.
skies. And then, yes, we went to, we knew we were going to a Q&A session with James Gunn. And again, even from the day before, our adrenaline was running because we'd been to London to see the newsstand. We went back to London for the fan event at Leicester Square, where we got to see 30 minutes of the film, which was just enough to really tease us and whet our appetites. And then, yeah, the next day, I stayed overnight in London, got up very, very early because I didn't sleep. Didn't have much breakfast because I knew I was going to be jumping off a building. So, and then from there, it was a Q&A with James Gunn. And that, again, to be in that room and hear him talk about his process, what this character means to him, the joys and sometimes the pressure that he has was a lot to take on, but it was fun to listen to. And he looked sort of, it was a nice, again, like at HMV, it was an intimate setting. And I was just very, very honored to be in that room. And he looked around and spotted some people and he went, "Oh, I know you," thinking that clearly he must have been looking at somebody behind me. I was like, no, he was looking at me, this little geek. And that was a very fun moment. And again, as I said, he answered some questions. They were all different and he was charming. And then the last question, I think that was given by Tasman, the aspiring Kryptonian, it was just talking about how excited he is for the world to see the film. Then he was like, "Well, I tell you what, since you're all here, do you want to watch it?" And we were like, "Oh, yes, please." And then we had to sign a lot of paperwork explaining that we won't spoil the film and
Yeah.
release the review before the embargo lifts. And
Yeah.
then we got to watch it, and then weren't allowed to speak about it for another week, which was quite tough because
Yeah.
all I wanted to do was talk about that amazing film. So yeah, that was a little glimpse into the summer of Superman that I had this year, and it has been interesting year for Superman, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And obviously, me and everybody else that's been watching your socials, I feel like I was there and seeing all the amazing activities that you did around the Superman marketing. For me personally, this is the most marketed film I've ever been a part of, ever witnessed, ever seen. As you said earlier, seeing the Superman on the top of the Shard. Every bus stop I went, there was Superman. It was just absolutely amazing. And going back to the screening, I don't know how you managed to watch 30 minutes and then think, oh my God, I've got another week or so left until I can watch the final film. But from the film itself, while we're on the topic of Superman, what do you think made this film so successful? Because it's got fantastic ratings, it's a brilliant Superman. I think the fact that we've got to witness Superman already being a part of the universe and in existence for me was something that I really liked. Everybody knows Superman, we jumped straight into the action. But for you, what were your kind of key takeaways? What did you like the most, and why do you love it so much?
I mean, I've still got one of my journals somewhere. I always travel with one of these little booklets, my little Daily Planet journals, mainly because I'm always forgetting things. So I love a list. But I was trying to write down notes whilst I was watching the film. And I've got a copy of one of these that's filled with absolute scribbles that I wrote in the dark. And because I needed to remember that experience of watching it for the first time, getting finally sitting down, getting this full story, not just that 30-minute tease. And coming out of it, I was like, this is gonna be big. I always love the fact that Superman's story is continuing to be told. So I understand that sometimes my reviews might be biased because I'm a Superman ambassador. Superman, as you can see, is everywhere. But this, this is not my first rodeo, Joe. I've been to Superman events over the last few years and I've seen characters and actors sadly come and go. The buzz that I had after watching this film and speaking with other members from the DC UK family once this movie was over, we were all like, this is new. This is exciting. I think for me, a lot of it was the power of the storytelling, the the love that we have for this character that's been around now for almost a century, and the fact that James Gunn has tried to honor every other Superman that has been before and is paving the way now for a new future of Superman fans that this will be their first Superman. This kids are growing up with this character now, and it's such a fantastic thing. And there's just so much love and hope in this film that we've seen glimmers in previous, in Man of Steel, in Batman v Superman, in Superman Returns, which I still will be on that hill fighting for it. There is all those elements that James Gunn managed to get in there together, and from start to finish, I was just smiling and crying and laughing and cheering. There were a few parts of that film where I was shocked with some of the routes that he took, but for me, just that whole film was such a fun experience, which is what I want for people when they go to the cinema.
Mm,
I want to recommend them to go and see this film and then talk with them afterwards. It's one of my favorite things to do
mm,
when I get to interact with Superman fans from around the world and say, I watched the film. Let's talk about it. I'm like, yes, let's
mm.
talk about it. Let's talk
Yeah.
about what you liked, what you loved, what you didn't like, and talk about the super of Superman, as it were. But for me, enjoying that film time and time again since that film has come out, it's still making me smile, still making me excited, still making me very, very proud to be a Superman fan.
Well, everything that you've mentioned there, I think is absolutely spot on. I recently watched a Superman film myself, obviously before meeting Stephen Blackheart. Obviously, I've had some fantastic guests
Yes.
from the Superman universe, but you saw the film more than once in a short period of time. And talk me through your brain, because you mentioned that you watched it, you wrote the notes down. Did you then watch it again to go over the notes? And then the third time you noticed things that you didn't notice? At what point did you actually sit there and just watch it with nothing? Was it on the
I
10th go, the
think
fifth go?
I think it was around the third or fourth viewing. After seeing the full film in London, we were invited back the following week for the sort of multimedia screening, the fan event, as it were. And for that moment, what I wanted to experience was the audience. We got to see that on the massive IMAX screen in Leicester Square. And for me, I knew the film. I love watching films with subtitles. It helps me concentrate. So there were some scenes that I was really, really eager to see again. But I wanted to watch this audience, watch this film as well. I wanted to hear the laughter whenever they saw Crypto. I wanted to hear the gasps whenever Lex Luthor did something extra dastardly. I wanted them to feel the love for this character that I feel for this character, and I felt it. That room was electric. I got to take the girlfriend of Steel to the premiere, and for that one, it was a great experience to sort of sit down and watch it and try to keep a brave face, because there were quite a few moments that do tug on the old heartstrings. Anything for me that involves storylines about dogs or father figures or the loss of a father hits me hard. I've talked about this in previous podcasts. And the writing for that scene was one of the highlights for me. So that's a scene that I wanted to go back and see time and time again. I've just looked around, and I do have the fateful book. I
Nice.
have the Superman review book that I took with me. And again, there's dreadful, dreadful notes in there about when I was watching the film. Easter eggs mainly. There's some dreadful writing there. Again, that's me in the dark with the pen, trying not to interrupt other people's viewing experiences as well. But I think probably it was about the fourth or fifth time that I watched it. I just wanted to sit down,
Yeah.
an escape. That's what we like to do with movies and comics and books. It's just to have a story told to you. But I have seen the film quite a few times now, and I think like most people, once the film is available for download, you have it on the TV, you've got it on the phone, you've got it on the tablet, you've got it on the laptop.
Yeah.
You go back and watch certain scenes again and again and again, and the film just hasn't got boring for me. I've wanted to go back and just watch it as many times as I can, and loved talking with people about this film over this whole summer and for years to come. What James Gunn is doing for the future of DC is so exciting, and the fact that he's so interactive with fans and sharing just enough to whet people's appetites, but also debunking fake news as well, which I've got a lot of respect for. I really think the future of DC Comics is some fantastic hands with James Gunn. Not too sure what Warner Brothers plans are up to for the next few years, but as long as James Gunn sticks around, I'll be very happy.
Yes, yes. And on that note, I've been keeping up to date as much as I can with the news. You hear one thing about Netflix and then Paramount, and then if Paramount get it, then James Gunn stays on. So we're just hopefully waiting for some good news and seeing what's going to come around the corner. But with obviously the ending of Superman, obviously we've got Crypto returning to Supergirl. Obviously, we've got Man of Tomorrow happening in
Yes.
27. We've got the end of Peacemaker season 2. What could be happening there? What would you like to see in, Supergirl, Man of Tomorrow? Is there anybody that you would like to come back? Are we looking for Brainiac? Who do you think would be a good next villain? What
I mean,
kind of are you hoping
Brainiac
for?
has always been one that I've wanted to see done well on the big screen. He's been done in certain TV shows over the years, and we've seen aspects of him. I think when James Gunn released that first image of Superman taken off the boot in his apartment, everyone was like, "That's clearly Brainiac in the background," and that was like just the biggest red herring. When we turned out, it's an imp from another dimension, which wasn't Mister Mixture's Pitlick, which I always thought it was gonna be. But I want to see Brainiac in the future. I want to see. I mean, there's been talk of more Bizarro. I'd love to see Bizarro. It's a fantastic character. Um, the crypto element for me was fun, and I think he's not going to go away from that too much because James Gunn knows how to get the fans in, whether they be new or old, and he can do that with a raccoon. We've seen that he's done that now with a puppy. So I want more crypto. When we found out that crypto was going to be in this film, I was very, very happy. And to see the progress of that character over the last few months and to see the merchandise has been very exciting and expensive. But the thing with James Gunn is he loves the more unique characters and villains. He loves those ones that haven't been used, ones that comic creators have adored over the decades, and they've never really given their time to shine. I doubt we're ever going to get a film with the likes of David Corn Sweat and Condiment Man. It's characters like that we want to see
Yeah.
that really ring the bell and really make the fans get excited for. But I'm just happy to get more Superman stories because then, like over the years, his progression, that legacy won't ever stop. And there have been so many new fans and new accounts over the last few months that have come out of the woodwork and are sharing their love for Superman online, and it's a wonderful thing to see.
Absolutely, absolutely. And on the subject of crypto, I'm actually hoping for an Eagly versus crypto at some stage. I
I mean,
absolutely love that flying eagle.
he's a fantastic. They would get up to some proper, hijinks. It,
Shenanigans, they would.
I know we had that scene in season two where it was just that sort of continuing shot of Eagly just going to town on all
Yeah,
those hench people.
yeah,
But I think that could work as a buddy movie, almost like classic Homeward Bound,
yeah,
some sort of Disney movie with Eagly and Crypto. They could get a few more of the DC comic pets involved as well. We can get Stripey, we can
yeah.
get Comet, we can get them all back in there for some fun.
Yeah, maybe James Gunn, if you are listening to this is what we want. Have a pet movie, and yeah, there'll be loads of people interested in that. But one thing that obviously I do like to ask my guests is about the origin story. So you've
Mm,
been Superman through and through for many, many years.
yes,
Can
sir.
you talk me through your upbringing, what got you into Superman? That's something really that I know the listeners love to hear. and me as the host also loves to hear as well. So can you talk me through a bit about your origin story?
For me, it was many, many years ago with a TV channel called E4 back in the day. And I woke up one Sunday morning and this Smallville pilot episode was on the television. And I was halfway through and I was like, well, okay, I recognize these characters. This is clearly based on Superman. I was aware of the character. I wasn't a fan at that point. I was just, again, everyone knows Superman, like they know Coca Cola or the McDonald's logo. And I knew these characters, I knew these names that they were saying. And I loved it. It was a great TV show. And then I tuned in the following week, loved it, continued to love it. But when season one ended, in the UK back then, yes, we had internet and we had forums, but we didn't have streaming sites. We didn't have anything like we do today. And most importantly, we weren't guaranteed a second season. And, now it's iconic. 10 seasons later, we've had comics, we've had podcasts. And when season one ended, I was like, I need to fill this hole. Well, what can I do? And I reached out to friends online. I was like, look, I want to learn more about this character. What books should I be reading? What comics should I get into? What films should I watch? And from then on, it's everything just blew up around it. But that was the starting point for me was Smallville. And from there, I got heavily invested in the comics and in the mythology, and then the writing, the creating, the history of the character, and the effect that Superman has had on the world of pop culture. Because, we talked about the fact that Action Comics #1, it's almost a century old. And Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster created this character, this world. And from that one moment of inspiration, $1 billion industry has come out of it. Whether you're Marvel or DC, or you're into anime or you're into manga, the world of comics started off essentially with Superman. And that from that, again, we had films, we had radio shows, we had toys, we had a whole new way for children to be entertained. And Michael Rosenbaum recently on his Talkville podcast had a bit of a rant because there was a sort of a top 10 list of all the best superhero TV shows, and Smallville wasn't on it. And this rant that he had which was, the air was quite blue, as it often is when Michael Rosenbaum gets talking about his passions. But he said, well, none of these shows would be here if it wasn't for Smallville. Yes, there were some campy TV shows for superheroes back in the day, but Smallville was the first really episodic TV series where we saw the arc of the story, of Superman's story, from being in school to being in college to working at the Daily Planet. And for me, Smallville was one of the biggest things to happen to Superman in the legacy of the character. And that was my starting point. And again, everything else sort of fell into place. And the Superman ambassador role was sort of I found that along the way.
Mm. That is a lovely story on how the origin started about your love for Superman. Obviously, for me, it was actually the Gameverse which got me into Batman and the love of the DC characters. So,
Nice.
hearing every single person's origin story, and we've all ended up in the same place, it's absolutely amazing. But on the topic of the character Superman, why do you think that the audience loves him so much? You've got the older generation, the kids, the middle age. What do you think makes him so relatable, and why do you think the audience loves him?
It often comes back to that magical word of hope. We've always seen that and heard that in TV shows and in the films as well. But it's the choices that he makes as well. He was sent to this planet. He didn't choose to come here. And he could easily, as we've seen in some Elseworld stories, we've seen Superman take over the world. We've seen him take over planets. But I think that people like the fact that he chooses to save cats from trees. He chooses to be the hero, to want to fight for the common person and do the right thing. Yes, he makes mistakes. Yes, he doesn't always do the right thing. And that's what we got with that fantastic speech at the end of James Gunn's Superman film. That anytime I see that in a reel or on a Twitter post and that moment is shared in an edit, I have to share it because it's such a powerful moment and one that I was really happy to go back in the cinema and see each time. We keep going on. We keep making our best choices. And that's something that Superman has always done and will continue to do. And for me, that's just a huge part of it. And, I love a cape. Can't go wrong with a cape. I've got a few scattered around the place, Joe.
Yeah, I've been looking and when you've been speaking and just before we click live on this podcast on how amazing the collection that you have is.
Thank
Out
you.
of all the items that you've got, obviously you've got a fantastic Action Comics autographed by multiple cast members and creators of Superman. Excluding that, because that probably is your favorite item. What would you say is your favorite collectible that you've got behind you over the years?
I mean, this one definitely it's been around to the most places and means the most. I have to say, like, it's not an original. Don't worry for people that get upset. This was a reprint they brought out a few years ago, and it started off just as an icebreaker. I took it to Comic Cons and I was like, look, please, could you sign this? Anybody that has worked on Superman or was written for Superman or drawn Superman, I owe them thanks for their hard work and their craft. So that's what I always get them to sign this. But I've got a few comics that have sentimental value. So there's lots of items in my collection that are a little bit older, items that I probably shouldn't have spent as much money on. And sometimes you do get that hint of buyer's regret. But for me, I think one of the things in my collection that means the most to me is just it's the interactions that I've gotten with people around the world because of the S in itself, whatever version of that Superman symbol is, it means something to everybody else. And when somebody sends me a text message or a quick email saying, "Oh, by the way, Superman 2's on tomorrow night on the telly," or Superman 3 or Man of Steel is playing next week, it's when somebody sees Superman and thinks of me. That's like a real, like, that does it. That's
Yeah.
exciting for me. But it could be the smallest thing in the collection that makes me happy, or sometimes the things that can't be on display. Like I've got a mirror that I want to get back out. It's in storage right now. I
Yeah.
saw it in a flea market shop many years ago in Brighton. And it's from the 70s. It's a really chunky mirror, but it's got like Superman in it pointing, saying Superman's pal. So it's like
Yeah.
your reflection being Superman's pal.
That's awesome.
So it's the more unique items that you don't necessarily see in the shops. I think when I first checked out eBay, I was just looking for the most weirdest things, and I found an old 70s Avon hairbrush in the shape of Superman. So it's
Yeah.
unique items like that. So, but you can't go wrong with the Funko Pop. You can't go wrong with anything classic. There's items all around me. I love these little old corgi cars
Oh
that came
yeah.
out as well. So it's anything that, again, that classic thing of if it brings you joy, add it to the collection and
Mm.
just don't always break the bank.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, being a big collector myself, just like when you see the Superman symbol, for me, the Batman symbol, anything Batman related, I have to have it. I even picked up a set of Batman tissues the other day just because why not? They had
Why not?
Batman on it. So,
That's the
but
thing, though, and it's nearly Christmas, and gift shops are, they're all online everywhere. Somebody sent me a link for Boots last week.
yeah,
They've got a Superman soap on a rope, and I was like, yeah, I've
yeah,
not got that particular version in my collection, so that needs to be added. But that's the thing. I think that we can never have a full set, but it's that moment when you're in a shop and you can almost sniff out that, like yourself with the Batman logo. You think there's something in this shop that's calling my name.
yeah.
I need to go and grab it. And that's the fun part about being a collector. It's finding that one item that you really want, and then those other things that find you as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the hardest thing that I find is, space. And
Yes.
I'm trying to now reduce a little bit of my collection. I like to make it visually appealing. And I've gone for a lot
You're
of
doing well.
statues. Thank you
You're
so
doing
much. Thank you
very
so
well.
much. I did mention this on my Instagram, but eventually I am moving into a larger games room that I'm going to be converting, which is a big project. And
Very big.
in the new year, I'm hoping that's going to be my new social media path where I'm going to be starting doing come with me and, you know, come to B&Q to pick up some wood to build the Ultimate Collect series. But
I'm ready to see their journey
yeah,
progress, Joe.
yeah, it's one that I'm really, really excited about. But yes, obviously being a collector, there's mistakes that I've made along the way. There's items that I've picked up that I think I really didn't need, and vice versa, where I've picked something up and I thought, oh, I want it, but then I don't buy it, and then I look back and I think I really did want that.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, been there, been there. I was
Yeah,
at a Comic Con a few years ago, and quick sort of walk of the floor, get your bearings, make sure you know who's selling who and where they are. I saw an original Iron Giant still sealed in the package, and it was like £15. And I thought to myself, I better buy that quick because that's going to fly off the shelf. And it did. Sadly, it wasn't me that picked it up, but somebody got an absolute bargain that day. So yeah, sometimes regret is a it's worse than buyer's regret.
it is, and as I say on that topic, there's been a new statue recently that I really wish that I would have got, but hey ho, you live and you learn, and
You do.
talking to other collectors and obviously seeing what you've got in your display, everything that you've got means so much to you. Obviously, I can see the popcorn buckets up there, which I really did wish I'd have picked up a Superman popcorn bucket, but I find it so hard because you just go there and they're just sold out everywhere, and that
They
was the one I
sell
wanted.
out
That one
quick.
was really, really good.
So yeah, so the one that sort of lights up, I've got one that didn't light up. It was about, I think it was a week before the film came out, and I was just going to the cinema to see if they had it in stock. And I was like, oh, they do, and I picked it up. And I was like, well, if I'm buying that, I also need the cup, and if I'm buying the cup, then I can't not leave crypto behind because he'll be
Yeah,
lonely.
yeah.
And so I was like, okay, this is geek maths now. This is what we go into. And yeah, then other cinemas, when they get on that, they know how collectors' minds work. They're like, oh, we know they're completionists, so let's make
Mm,
sure that they come to the cinema, but they have to get different merchandise from different cinemas.
yeah,
And that is when it sucks because America has some really, really good ones. I managed to get the newspaper vending machine. I was happy with that. My
yeah.
good friend Derek managed to get that one sorted out for me. But there were some really cool ones out there. But it's a huge market now. When I was at San Diego Comic Con a couple of years back, they had a popcorn bucket booth there. I think it was from AMC theaters, and the queues around the block to get certain popcorn buckets. At the time, it was the big one was the Wolverine and Deadpool popcorn bucket, but it's a different again. You wouldn't think it. It's a huge marketing tool now for films,
It is.
and it helps the movies make money or not, as it were.
I agree, and I was actually talking to a good friend of mine about this, that collecting anything nowadays is becoming the norm, and I think in 10 to 15 years' time, the topic of conversation from people to people is going to be, so what are you collecting at the minute? And obviously, there's a big thing around, Pokemon cards. They're coming back in popcorn buckets, Funko Pops,
Mm-hmm.
comic books, coins. There's so much out there to collect. And I love it. I absolutely love collecting. There's so much passion around it. And I personally think if you like something, go and do it. There should be
Yes,
no age restriction around it. If it makes you happy and it gives you some
do it.
joy, then absolutely do it.
That
So,
is exactly it, though. I mean, but that's it for us. I mean, sometimes it's clinging on to that bit of nostalgia and thinking, oh, and that's what I love about seeing people at Comic Cons when they take their kids or sort of friends and they see things at a booth that they weren't expecting to see, like a classic Boglin or the old garbage pail kids trading cards. That's what I saw this year and got really excited about. But as you said, everybody collects something. Funko Pops, they might not be around in a few years' time. There's been some news this week that they're really struggling,
yeah.
but it just goes to show that there is a Funko Pop for pretty much every single fandom because everybody has that one thing that is their thing. And that's what I've noticed interviewing people and talking about passions is that when they do start talking about that one thing, they just get more animated, they get more excited and joyful, and they get excited and happy. And that's what I love is when people start talking about what they love to do. Like speaking with you right now, it's that light goes on inside them and they get really, really into it. And it's a fun thing to see.
Yes, and having this on display constantly, and probably when you're not shooting podcasts or doing videos, I'll walk across the hall and I'll poke my head in and I think, I can't
Yep.
believe this is mine. And I'll go in there and you have a busy day at work and life's stressful and you're doing what things get in the way. And sometimes I'll just put the lights on in here and I'll just have a look around and I'm extremely appreciative of everything that I've got.
There
It's
you
all
go.
come from hard work. It's all come from over a decade of collecting, and every single thing in my room really means something to me. And you've probably seen on my page, and a lot of the listeners know that I constantly do room updates. Might be because I just, get bored really quickly, or it might be because
And that's
I
it.
just
You
love being
move
in the room and I'm constantly doing it.
every now and again. The shelves of steel behind me, they will get moved around. There's things that aren't on display, and things will come back. They'll go back into storage and they'll come back out again, or I'll find something new. But as you said, it's finding the space for it, and as long as it makes you happy and it looks nice, do what you like with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't worry about what other people think, because you will be able to find people out there that have that same passion, that want to know where you got a certain item from, or where they can find it as well. I love moments like that where people say, "Oh, where did you get that T-shirt?" or "Where did you find that action figure?" And it's a nice moment when you can help somebody add something to their collection. Again, that means something to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And, over the last year, I've been really trying to build up the Batman Unbox brand, as I said, taking inspiration from you and the audience and people that I now have in my community that when I upload videos like to ask questions. And something that I'm doing at the minute, which is working really well, is listening to feedback and getting engagement from the
Yes,
audience and say, so what changes could I make this week in the setup, and making it feel like everybody has their own say in how the room looks like. Because not only do I do this for me, I do this for everybody because it's such a great community and the friends that I've made along the way as well. And as you say, in terms of getting a message to say, oh, where'd you get that from? Or somebody, when they thinks about you, and people that I might have connected with 2 months ago said, oh, I saw this trailer and I thought of you. And being a part of that community is amazing.
it's really been special to see how social media has, again, there's good and there's bad sides of it. And I think I've seen most areas now because I've been doing this for so long. But the fact that I've made lifelong friends through doing this and learned things, and learned new ways to share my love, whether that be through podcasting or interviewing people, or traveling around the world to go to a con. It's things that if I'd gone back in time and spoken to that geek that was watching Smallville for the first time, it would have blown my mind. And it still does now when I think back at the things that I have managed to do through this. Whenever I get an email from Warner Brothers or DC Comics saying, "Could you help us promote this book or this film or this release?" I have to pinch myself because I'm thinking, well, this is essentially, these are Superman's bosses, and I'm helping share the legacy of Superman through my passions for this character. So it's those pinch me moments that never get tired for me. And I hope they continue for years to come with the new films that are coming out. But again, it's seeing that on social media and seeing people talk about the film, talk about the character, talk about what they love and what they don't like, and what they would like to see when it comes to these characters that they adore. It's a really, really special community. And it's, I think right now it's louder, especially for DC Comics, than it has ever been before.
Mm,
And there's been some negativity over the years from certain aspects of the world of comics, but right now, the love for this film, and the positivity behind it because of Superman 2025 has made it a much more enjoyable place where the negativity seems to have been drowned out a little bit,
mm,
and more people are speaking positively about the things that they love.
mm. Absolutely. And with social media being such a big thing in this day and age, I remember a decade ago when I was getting into collecting, and I was never embarrassed because I've always been my own person.
Yeah.
And when I've connected with so many people that don't voice the things that they love because they're embarrassed, or, they think it's not cool or it's not the in thing to do, when you join a social media platform, and I personally think the DC community is the best community to be in. Everybody's friendly, everybody's kind, everybody's been so nice throughout the journey. And to be a part of something bigger, and when you join these platforms and you think, I'm not the only one
Mm.
who is into this, that for me really does get me going. And I absolutely love it. And as I say, meeting people like you and, connecting with the entire world. You're not only connecting with your local community, I'm connecting with people from Australia, America. There's so much happening at the minute. It's such a great place to be. But
You're doing great work, Joe.
thank you so much.
I love to see the journey and how you've progressed from it's definitely your interviewing technique, and you can see the passion for it. Thoughtful questions, good follow up questions, and the fact that you're not just phoning it in, as it were. You want to have these conversations because they mean something to you, and that's been great to see you progress. I can't wait to see where you go with this, and when you get to interview James Gunn next as well.
Yes, yeah. Well, James Gunn is on the attack list of people
Good
that I
man.
want to jump on the podcast. But obviously, your feedback is really appreciative because, as a bit of background from me, I'm actually from a sales industry where I do a lot of cold calling, a lot of face-to-face meetings, Teams calls, Zoom calls, and I thought there's a talent here. I've been doing it for 10 years, and I thought, why not open up another space that interests me? So I thought, let's jump on some podcasts. And the responses that I've got from the people that I've asked to be a part of the podcast has been
Mhm.
amazing. The feedback, the community, I've got friends calling me up who I haven't spoken to for a while, and they've gone, I've just seen your podcast, it's amazing. And, I'm saying, I know you find it amazing, but any feedback, any tips and tricks, because I love constructive criticism. So when
Wonderful. That's
they
it.
when they tell me things that you should do this, and I think somebody before mentioned about the quality of the mic that I was using was a little bit muffled, so the thing I did was upgrade the mic and listen to the community. So yeah, it's been going really well, so your feedback really is appreciated, so thank you so much for that.
You're
So
welcome.
next thing that obviously I wanted to speak about was the next vision for DC. Obviously, we spoke about Man of Tomorrow, what potentially you would
Mhm.
like to come into the universe. But if you could create your own, whether it's a Superman film, whether it's a DC film, what characters would you include? Who would you like to see up against each other? If you were
Oh,
the director, Luke Bugg, what would you like to see?
there's a character that appears in comics from time to time, called Bibbo Babowski, and he's sort of a Superman's biggest fan. He's a bit rough around the edges. He's worked in various bars in Metropolis. He's not got any superpowers. He's got a mean right hook, but he's just a great character that I've always wanted to see in a film. Not just sort of a little Easter egg or a cameo, but like a full scene with Superman. And it's characters like that I've enjoyed seeing over the years. I really like that we got to see some more Jimmy Olsen this time round, and we didn't really see much Lois Lane, so hopefully we get to see more of that in the future. But for me to make sort of my own Superman film, as it were, you put it quite rightly, is that we don't really need an origin story. We've seen that done time and time again. I want to see Superman go up against really zany characters. I want him, like we saw in the film, fighting kaijus, be in really visual, out of this world locations. And so for me, that's why I was so happy with James Gunn's creation, is because we got so much of that in that short space of time. But for me, as long as we get a film or a storyline where we see Superman just doing good, but also enjoying it, because it's not about his ego as such, it's about him enjoying the powers that he's got, enjoying the fact that he is here to help people, and the fact that he can help people and he chooses to out of his own goodness. And yeah, so for a Superman film, for me, is got to have that element of fun, of some minor peril, lessons that he learns, and lessons and advice that he gives to other people. And we've seen that, and again, in all the Superman films over the years. So I don't think I've probably got the chops to make my own Superman film, but if I did, Bibbo Babowski for me, just because I'm so ready for that to
Yeah,
happen. It would be just that would make it perfect for me.
yeah. Well, to be honest, that is a character I'm not too familiar with. So after this, I'm going to do a bit of research and jump on the Bibbo
Oh, don't! I've got a
and
list.
see.
I can send you.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
send you some
Oh, please do.
recommended reading for Bibbo Babowski. There's not much out there, but what there is absolute gold.
Yeah, well, please send it over and I'll take a look.
Oh
But
well.
so obviously the big a lot of the Superman film is obviously based around the Justice Gang, which is obviously something that I wanted to touch upon. Obviously, we've
Mm-hmm.
got some new uh characters that are coming in. We've obviously got Green Lantern. Are we going to see Batman returning? Are we going to see a Wonder Woman? Who do you think is coming in next?
I mean, I
There's a
think it would be someone new. I don't think we're going to get Pattinson. I think some people want that. Some people are heavily against that those worlds combining because people have got so much love now for the Batman, and I understand why, because it was a fantastic film. But you can't always have Superman without Batman, which is
Yeah.
something that has been a bit of a downer over the years. I think a lot of the world were hoping for Man of Steel 2, and they got Batman v Superman. And I was one of those people that was like, really? This give Superman his time to shine for a little bit. But I'm sure James Gunn has got a plan. He had a plan when he joined up with Marvel and sort of put that 10-year map out in front of him. So I'm sure we are going to get some information soon about Batman and Wonder Woman.
Hmm.
There are so many news sites out there now that really give out a lot of factual stuff, and a lot of it is just hearsay, which is why I like it when James Gunn pretty much says, "No, this is absolute rubbish. Don't listen to this person. Don't listen to this account." But again, it's the Trinity. You can't have Superman without Batman or Wonder Woman. And yes, there are many more fantastic characters from the world of DC. Those are the three that are the money makers. They are the ones that will be getting bums in seats. So I'm sure within the next 6 months, we are going to have some news about Batman and Wonder Woman because I think he's planning something now that he's banging these films out so quickly.
Yeah.
We got that Man of Tomorrow news so quickly after Superman came out, and I know Supergirl is going to be fantastic. That's going to be an amazing journey to see how that works out. And I think when that film comes out next year, we will have some news about Batman and Wonder Woman.
Yes. Well, obviously being a big Batman fan myself, the Matt Reeves universe I don't think will cross over to the
No.
James Gunn. Just Patterson, fantastic Batman, but I just can't see those two being in the same world together. Obviously, there's a lot of exciting films coming out. Obviously, we've got Clayface coming in.
Yeah.
Obviously, The Penguin was by far for me one of the greatest series that I've watched in recent times. So I think there needs to be a new evolution of Batman come through, new character style. I think John Cena and David Cornsweet, I think, could definitely. Obviously, we've seen them on screen.
Yes, that could
They
work.
for me, I think it's going to be good together. Obviously, I'm meeting John Cena next
Yes.
Saturday or this Saturday now, which I'm really excited about, as well as Freddie Stromer. So I'm going to be meeting both Vigilante and Peacemaker, which I'm so excited about. It's probably one of the most excited I've been for a convention in a very, very long time. But my
What have you got
biggest
planned without sharing any spoilers? You doing meet and greets
so
or?
yeah, so I've got a autographed sign in, and I think you get what a minute or two with
Yeah.
John Cena. I am just working out what I want to get autographed, so I've just picked up issue number one of Peacemaker, first appearance from 1966.
Yeah.
So I'm going to
And
get that
he will
signed.
love signing that again, and that's sort of a good thing. That would be a fantastic icebreaker.
Yeah.
Say, would you mind signing this? Because he will stop. I mean, you can't ask for more time in that queue when you're at a con, but if they say, oh, if they start talking to you about what you've got to sign, then that's on them. So I think he'd love to see that. That's a great one to get signed.
I thought that, and I was weighing up between that, a couple of Funko Pops. I'm going to be wearing the Peacemaker cosplay,
Good
which I
lad.
think he's going to love, and obviously there'll be loads of other people there. But I thought with the Funko Pops, these guys are signing all day, every day, or when they go to the cons, and
Mm,
I would probably say 85% of people are going to have a Funko Pop with them,
yeah,
just because it's amazing. I've got a few signed Funko Pops myself, but to have the first appearance of
that's good.
Peacemaker, that's an icebreaker for me, and that's what I'm going to be taking. So I'm going with Johnny Kryptonite and Scott Masterson. So we're going to be there together. I've got a few interviews lined up, and you'll be seeing them on the day, which are going to be good. I've got a few business cards as well of
Good
my
man.
Batman and box that I'll be handing out. I'm going to be going over to a few of the stalls that are not as busy and saying, look, do you want to jump on the podcast with me? Going to be interviewing a few cosplayers that are big in the DCU, so it's going to be a very, very busy day. And then
Good.
after that, we're going to do a little walking tour of Liverpool and check out the scouting locations for Clayface, because
Oh,
they
good man.
turned part of the city into the
They
Gotham
did.
universe, which is going to be amazing to see, and to be a part of that is going to be amazing. So yeah, that's pretty much my time. It's going to be an action-packed field day. I've just put my slot in to see John Cena, and obviously he's coming to the end of his wrestling career too. So he's going to be extremely busy. But to have this opportunity to see him,
Yeah, that
it's
you
amazing.
can't miss that. You can't miss that one out, buddy.
Yeah, it's going to be great. But yeah, that's pretty much it, really. So I've got a busy day ahead. Have you got any cons booked in yourself? Any? Obviously, we're
Um,
coming to the end of convention season now, really, aren't we?
it
So
is. So what happens now is I'm currently working for my local com. So it's the Portsmouth Comic Con. That's one that I've been going to since 2018. I'm a sort of ambassador for that and their official media person. So I host and produce the podcast for that. It's a con that I fell in love with from the moment I went on the very first day back in 2018. And it's only growing more and more each year. They're really sticking to the roots of comics and creators and artists. And again, like we talked about, sharing passions, making it so it's not something that we hide away, that we talk about and we show off and we bring those passions out of each other. And it's a wonderful event. So yeah, I'm busy hosting that. There's lots more things coming out over coming again the next few weeks. There's lots more Superman merchandise, whether it be in Christmas. There's lots more gift
mm,
packs and books. The Superman book comes out, I think, in a few weeks' time with the art of the Superman movie. So I'm looking forward to reading some of that. James Gunn shared a picture of about like a few hundred storyboards of artwork from the Superman set. So I know that there's a lot of images that haven't been shared just yet. And there's scenes that weren't in the film that weren't on the deleted scenes. I'm sure there's been so many pieces of merch that involve sort of an abominable, oh, no word, an abominable snowman or a yeti, but they didn't use that in the film, but it was in all of the merchandise. So I was like,
yeah,
why? What happened there? I'd love to see Superman fight a yeti.
yeah,
I don't think it's been done before. Probably has, but there you
yeah.
go. But other than that, yeah, it's just podcasting and again talking about Superman, talking with Superman fans and DC fans around the world, and just people that are passionate. As we said, we've learned that on our journey, is
Yeah.
we get to speak with these fantastic people that help to tell stories, and it's great to hear insider information and behind the scenes stories about how these films, comics, and stories are made.
Yes, absolutely. Well, one thing that I did want to mention to you, if you wanted to put it on your Christmas list, I was at
Please.
Forbidden Planet
Oh,
on Friday, and they have just released, and I was laughing when I saw it, a Superman cookbook. And not
okay.
only is it, I just think it's a fantastic gift, it also comes with a metal Superman book holder. So when you've got it open on the page, it's got Superman holding up, and you can rest your book. So add
Okay,
that
that's
to your
done.
Christmas list.
That's what this is here. So this I had this for sort of displaying comics and books. It's actually just a regular recipe book holder for your
Yeah.
kitchen. I was like, that's perfect because I can set up comics in it and it works wonderfully.
Yes.
So that will be added to my collection, a Superman cookbook. One of my favorite pieces of Superman trivia is that Superman's favorite meal is beef bourguignon,
Beef
but
bourguignon.
especially beef bourguignon with ketchup. Lois Lane made it for a meal, and she's sometimes in the comics she's a bit of a dreadful cook, but in some comics over the years it's been like a code word. So like if Lois Lane is ever in trouble or being impersonated by someone else, Superman's like, "What's the code word, Lois?" And if it's beef bourguignon, he knows it's the right Lois Lane. That's it.
Well, if that comes up in a trivia, I will thank you for that because I had absolutely no idea.
That's it. See, that's it. Right. Well, if you don't mind, I love questions,
Yep,
and you've asked some fantastic ones. I've got a few ones here for you. Nothing too deep or anything too tricky. But
I'm ready.
what's one thing you secretly admire about Superman that Batman would never admit?
What a great question.
Thank you.
So, something that I love about Superman that he would never admit is, um, I mean, the fact that he can show his weaknesses. I think for me is something that Batman never does because he's a lone wolf.
Mm-hmm.
And I often see this and think about the Batman Lego movie, which is one of the best. It's
Iconic.
absolutely amazing.
Cinema. Absolute cinema.
And obviously, 80% of the movie is him being a lone wolf, saying that he doesn't need anybody, fine doing everything on his own, where Superman is a man for the people and gives help, receives help, and is willing to take that on. So that's probably what I would say is that Superman can ask for help where Batman can't.
Perfectly put. I love that. That's deep as well. Question number two. If Alfred had never come into Batman's life, do you think Batman would still exist, or would he be so much darker?
I think there's an element to me where Batman may have gone off the rails a little bit. Obviously, Alfred has kept him in check
Mm-hmm.
and has assisted him through the dark times. And as we saw in The Dark Knight, there are many instances where Bruce Wayne was on the cusp of doing something that maybe he shouldn't and then gets put back in check by Alfred. So I would personally say that there would be a much darker version, maybe more similar to the Batman, where I thought was a little bit more dark and gruesome. But yes, I would definitely say that there would still be a Batman, but maybe he would be more of a villain rather than the good guy.
And finally, Joe, what's the one question about Batman you've always wanted someone to ask you?
God, that is a great question. So somebody who would ask me, oh God. Um, So can we redefine the question then? So do you mean a Batman fan asking me a question
Or any
that
question that you've never been asked about the character?
um
Because
maybe
you
what
clearly love talking about the character, and I
yeah.
love to see it because I think when we're in these situations, we can stand up in front of a room full of people and talk about why this character means so much to us and means something to the world as well. So, what is it then? Put it another way, what is it about Superman that makes you want to talk with other people about the character?
What makes me want to talk about Superman, Batman, about the character is the fact that he can connect with so many people and he's almost relatable in a way. And there are elements of both Bruce Wayne, as you talk about Luke Bugg and the Geek of Steel being somewhat of a alter ego where you can put a mask on and be somebody that you've always wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that being Batman, you can be somebody that during the day, obviously, other than being a billionaire, playboy, that obviously people know him as, he can still play that persona and then have somebody that not many people know who he is. And I think that's why the character is so good. As you know, and I know, when you get in front of the camera, and for me, I'm Batman Unboxed, I'm What's Up, It's Your Boy, which I'm, still similar to that as well in person as well. But I think that's what I like so much. But I've just thought of an answer to the question previously about something that I would like to be asked.
Oh,
And
see,
that's actually talking about his array of vehicles and his tech. And nobody has ever asked me what my favorite Batmobile is, or what my favorite weapon is of Batman, because he not only obviously is a billionaire, he's got all of this tech and all of these
mm-hmm.
amazing gadgets. So for me, if somebody said, what was your favorite Batmobile, for me it'd probably have to be either the Tumbler or
Yeah.
the classic '89 Batmobile. That for me is the statement. If anybody chooses a Batmobile, obviously the '89 classic. Obviously we see that in Batman Returns also. But
Mm.
yes, the Tumbler for me is my
It's a
favorite. So that is a
beautiful
question.
kit. I've seen. Luckily, I've been both next to those beautiful machines. I've been up close, and a couple of years ago at the Portsmouth Comic Con, I was informed that the '89 Batmobile would be there on display, a fantastic replica. And I was there waiting at about 7:30 for the gates to open because I wanted to see this majestic vehicle come off the back of this trailer. And it did. And it sounded like the Batmobile. There were flames coming out the back of it. It was huge. And it was being driven by, I think he was either 7 or 8. It was the guy that owns it. His grandson was helping him take this Batmobile off this trailer. And I was like, you've got a lot of trust in your grandson. A lot of trust there.
Yeah.
But yeah, two fantastic machines. But when it comes to tech, then, what's your favorite Batman gadget? Is it the
Oh,
shark repellent?
it could be the shark repellent. Obviously, the Adam West, Burt Ward, I absolutely love the '66 movie. And, when he got set and he's finally used the shark repellent, he's thinking there's finally a good use for it. But for me, I've got to love the grapple gun. I think that is
Classic.
probably Batman's most iconic piece of kit that he's got in his armory. But, I would absolutely love one of them myself. But he's got such a fantastic array of
Mm.
armories and. vehicles and whatnot and weapons. So yeah, I would just like to be Batman, to be honest with you. So when the cameras are off, I've got my cosplay suit on and I'm running around the house as Batman, and my girlfriend's going, "What are you doing? You're 28 years old." So
You're living your best life, Joe.
yeah, it
That's what you're
is.
doing.
It is. It is. But I just want to say thank you so much for joining, Luke. It's
Oh
been
no,
an
it's been a
absolute
pleasure.
pleasure speaking with you. I'm really looking forward to seeing more on the content that you're going to be pumping out, and obviously what you're doing for the local convention at Portsmouth is really amazing. And I think I might even attend that and
Oh,
perhaps
good
do a
man.
bit of creating myself, and getting a bit of the convention posted on the
Yeah,
socials,
no,
because
get you
it's
down
not
here.
it's not just about the big ones, obviously, that make the impacts. Your Londons, your
No,
Liverpools. It's about the smaller conventions as well. Your Brentwoods, your Portsmouths. There's so many other conventions out there that do
they're taken
amazing
over now
things.
as well. It's great. Yes, you can go to the big ones and easily spend lots and lots of money for an autograph, and
Yeah,
then you can go to these other ones where it's people's their first time going to a con, and they can go and buy a comic or a toy for £1 and just having a fantastic day. So yeah, for me, Portsmouth Comic Con, it is the best of both, as there are getting more and more celebs now and stars and comic creators. So it's a beautiful thing to be a part of.
absolutely. And to finish off, obviously, you are the Geek of Steel. If people want to get in touch with you and follow your journey, how do people get in touch? What's your Instagrams and YouTube, or is it at the Geek of Steel? Is it across all
Just
your
that, just
platforms?
just
That's
search
it.
for the Geek of Steel. I try to keep up with everything that goes on, Joe. There is a TikTok. I'm still trying to bring MySpace back, because that was my jam back in the
Yeah,
day. But just search for the Geek of Steel and Superman, and it comes up.
yeah.
You will find me. You will find my reviews, my podcasts, interviews, me flying over London from the Canary Wharf. Yes, there's a lot of interesting things there that you will see, Joe.
Yes, absolutely. Well, as I said, Luke, thank you so much for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the Batchat podcast. We'll keep in touch on the
We
socials,
will.
and let's meet up for a curry with the DC boys at some
I
point
think
and
so. I
have a
think
chat.
so, that has to happen.
It does. It does. I've been speaking to Johnny and Lee and Martin and a bunch of the other DC guys, and we're thinking curry and beer night, having a chat, having a few drinks, and I think it would be a great night.
That sounds like a win. Let's get that in the
It
bag.
does.
Let's sort
It,
that
it
out.
does. All right, Luke, thank you so much for your time. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of your week.
Take care, buddy.
Cheers. Thank you.